Solutions, straightsmilesolutions.com, and today we're going to answer this long popular question: how long does a Clin Check stay in my Invisalign account or in a doctor's Invisalign account, and when do I need to do a new scan? So I'm going to go ahead and address both these questions. It's actually a very popular question. It's a misconception for consumers, and it was asked on one of the Facebook groups I'm in. So the answer is directly from one of my friends, BFFs, friendly people at Invisalign. So not my answer, their answer. So I'm gonna just read it because it's gonna make more sense. So regarding the first question, how long does a Clin Check stay in a doctor's Invisalign account? So let's say you went to some office, you had a scan, they made a Clin Check, maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't. It's a few months later and they're telling you, oh, we don't have it anymore. Or you're wondering, hey, can I see this Clin Check from 6 years ago? So let's go ahead and read the answer to that. Once a doctor submits an Invisalign prescription and gets a Clin Check, we maintain those patient records and the Clin Check. It does automatically get archived after the Clin Check sits for 6 months without getting approved, which is totally true because doctors do get an alert after that, and there's a countdown after 6 months saying this case is now archived. Once the doctor can archive it sooner, it says the doctor can archive it sooner if they want. But the patient is not, if they know the patient is not going to accept treatment. But the doctor will always have access to those records, even when it's archived. It's patient records. Can't get rid of it. It exists. Now, in the real world, at least in the US, you could expunge it after 7 years or 7 years after the patient turned 18. According to this Invisalign team member, they don't. But we definitely recommend rescanning the patient if it's been more than 6 to 8 weeks. I've been saying this forever. I normally say 60 to 90 days. The Invisalign team is saying 6 to 8 weeks. 6 months is way too old to be using an old scan. Way, way, way too old. You can mock it up, but you need to pair it with a new scan. It's just not gonna fit. It's not gonna be accurate. There's always movement going on, settling, shifting. Even if you don't have wisdom teeth, teeth are always moving around. So it will just not be ideal. So I highly recommend, now going back to the whole doctor thing, in terms of do I need a new scan, that is the doctor's policy. And should the doctor charge me for a new scan? Again, doctor's policy. Do we? Yeah, we absolutely do. We tell the patient we're gonna let this go for either 60 or 90 days, 45 days, whatever we think. Obviously, if it's a kiddo or a teen and mixed dentition, it's gonna be like 2 weeks. You know, like that's it. You have to pull the trigger within a few weeks, otherwise you're gonna need a new scan. If it's an older patient, even with perio, I might say 2 or 3 weeks. You have to pull the trigger within a few weeks, otherwise it's going to be a new scan. We're going to do a complimentary scan and setup first, but after that, there will be a fee for the new scan and new setup because it takes us time. So you have a small window to pull this trigger. Could be 2 weeks, could be 3 weeks. The doctor gets to decide based on what they see and what their policy is. So that is a great question to ask. Will there be a charge if I need a new scan? Obviously, if you have new dental work, gonna need a new scan. So, you know, ultimately, who pays for the new scan is really up to the doctor. But it's really great to be transparent with your patient and let them know exactly how this is gonna work and if there's gonna be another fee. Now remember, Invisalign does not charge the doctor for the Clin Check. That's actually not true. If you have a lot of patients that don't move forward, and if your acceptance rate within your account is low, you know, 10%, 15%, 20% instead of 90%. And they never quite say what it is, but they have the right to charge the doctor for Clin Checks. So, and the doctor has the right to charge patients for Clin Checks. It's their choice. In our offices, we do 1 complimentary. After that, it's an additional fee. That's just how we do it, you know. And then obviously there's reasonable reasons, you know, patient got COVID, or maybe we won't do it for that. Patient's tooth broke, had to get a new scan, we probably won't do it for that as long as we're the ones that did the restoration. But patient lost a tooth, you know, but patient just dilly-dallied, wasn't sure about insurance. Yeah, no, you're gonna get charged for a new scan for sure, a couple $100 for sure, because that's scanning, redoing the Clin Check, that takes a doctor hours, and my time is valuable. So, you know, I'm not gonna just do it just because you dilly-dallied. So anyways, that is the answer. Let's see what else it says. Regarding the second question, the only way a second provider would get the first provider's patient records and Clin Check is to complete an Invisalign transfer form. But we would need the patient's Clin ID, and I'm not sure she knows what it is. you'd have to know what your Clin ID is. I think it's printed on the baggies. That's the only way they can get it. But then the original doctor has to sign off that they'll release it. New doctor has to sign off that they'll accept it. And patient has to sign off that it's okay to transfer from Dr. A to Dr. B. That's 3 signatures on a piece of paper. It is a pain to get those signatures. So a lot of times it's easier just to do a new one, which is more accurate. The first provider would, oh, interesting. This is new. I lied. Okay, now they're saying first provider does not have to sign the patient transfer form as long as the patient and second provider do, but she would have to have her Clin ID. I was wrong. That was the old way to do it. This is a new way. Oh, I learned something new. Otherwise, she could just start from scratch with the second provider, new records, new prescription, new Clin Check. Okay, so no, first provider does not have to sign. If your first provider died, disappeared, I think if you're actually, okay, this is how it is. If the case is active and got started, first provider has to sign. If it's just a workup, you know, has not pulled the trigger, has not accepted treatment, has not started treatment, then you do not need first doctor's signature. That's what it is. Okay, so we were both right. All right, so hopefully that was helpful. Now you know the inner workings of whose responsibility is what, who needs signatures, what a Clin ID is, and how long the records stay and the Clin Check stays in their account, which is forever. All you need to know is your Clin ID. And that's not something Invisalign will give to you. So unless you got it when you viewed the Clin Check or you asked your doctor and they gave it to you, there's no way you can transfer that. But it's super easy to work it up to a new thing. So I don't know what the big deal is. All right, hopefully that was helpful. Thanks.